All right, I'd like to call a February 4th, 2026 meeting of the Lower Southford Township Board of Supervisors, and ask everyone to join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, that brings us to our second agenda item, which is the swearing in of Officer Zachary Loomis. There he is. Please come forward. In fact, Riley, and what's this young gentleman's name?
That's Nathan.
Nathan and Riley can hold the Bible, can they?
Gonna.
You
can hold it.
You're just a great.
Good.
A picture of it or something. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
There.
Good job. All right, raise your right hand. For the oath of office, please repeat after me. I, Zachary Robert Bubness, being duly appointed police officer
I, Zachary Robert Bubness, being a duly appointed police officer
for the Township of Lower Southford,
for the Township of Lower Southford,
Montgomery County, Pennsylvania,
Montgomery County, Pennsylvania,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the laws of the Commonwealth
the laws of the Commonwealth,
and of this township,
and of this township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Make sure.
Thanks, buddy.
Smile.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other?
Thanks. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to the family.
That's it.
All right, with that, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is the first of two public discussion periods on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda items as posted.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed say nay. Motion carries. Committee reports, zoning hearing board, Mr. Beaky, I looked over there, you're over here.
There are no applications. Sure.
All right, no application. Park board, Osterman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next park board meeting will be in this room on February 24th at 7 p.m. And the park board does have a new member this year, and we also have a new vice chairman. Our chairman is Kent Kraus, and our vice chairman is Ryan Belts, who has been with the park board for probably a good 6 or 7 years now. And our newest member is Stephanie Moyer.
Very nice. Excellent. Any questions or comments for Holly? All right, hearing none, I'll remind everyone at the bottom of the agenda are the upcoming meetings for the various committees. All are welcome to attend. Next up, Fire Chief.
All right, good evening. January fire report, we had a total of 36 calls, 21 a day, 15 at night. We had 12 fire alarms, 5 EMS assists, 3 special service, 2 dwelling fires, CO detectors, gas leaks, 1 commercial fire, electrical fire, gas leak, unknown type fire, acts with injuries, vehicle fire, vehicle rescue, brush fire. 21 were in Lower Salford, 9 in Franconia, 1 in Lower Frederick, Skipback, Sourdough, Town Menton, and Worcester. Provided mutual aid 8 were received at 5 times. Total personnel was 306. We averaged 8.5 per call, and we were in service for 17 hours, 57 minutes, and 53 seconds. Since I wasn't here for last month's meeting, some year-end report for 2025. Our busiest year on record. We had a total of 378 fire calls, 248 were in the day, 130 at night. 250 of them were in Lower Salford, 58 in Franconia, 28 in Town Menton, 16 in Upper Salford, and a bunch of other places. Some of the highlighted lists here, we had 124 fire alarms, 40 EMS assists, 24 dwelling fires, 24 brush fires, 22 electrical fires, 21 CO detectors, 18 gas leaks, 16 commercial building fires, and again, a long list of other items. Total personnel, we had 3,555. Over the year, we averaged 9.4. And we were in service for a total of 206 hours, 16 minutes, and 30 seconds. That's my reports.
Wow, it's a full year.
Yeah, full enough for me.
Right. So folks that would like to view that report, either past months or last year's, will be on file with the township. They're welcome to stop in and see Mr. Kowski. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, thank you.
Next up, Freedom Valley Medical Rescue. I think I saw Colleen. Oh,
Over here.
I can't find anyone today.
First, I want to say thank you to all the Lower Salford staff, PD, Public Works, and the fire department for their outstanding support during the snowstorm. We are so grateful to have such a great working relationship with everyone. Everybody came together and really helped us out. I mean, we got stuck in the mud, so they absolutely were amazing.
That's what we heard.
Yes,
Yeah.
so thank you very, very much. For the month of January, we had 546 total dispatches, 109 recalls, and 218 transports. In Lower Salford, we were dispatched 146 times, and we handled 119 calls in our first due area in Lower Salford. 27 of those calls were covered by mutual aid, so that's pretty good. We were recalled by 85 times in the month of January, so you know.
That seems like a lot. You're tracking all that month to month?
Yes, sir, yes, and
Is
it's, yeah.
Is that number high?
Actually, that's about the usual.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Mhm.
Just curious.
It's usual for them.
Right, no, it's high in general, but
Right.
I meant, is that a particularly high one?
No, not for that. We are still down, 2 full-time medics. They're out on medical, however, the hours total in January was 744 hours, and the Lower Salford station was covered 100% ALS for those hours, so, we are moving along, even though we're down 2 medics, we're covering.
Good for you.
So that's all I have. Thank
All right.
you.
Any questions for Ms. Haynes?
Just thank you for the detailed report.
Very good. Communications Committee, I'm not sure. Oh, I am sure. Ms. Kelly, it's up to you.
Thank you very much. We have a few updates for you. We're gonna start sending out new resident letters again in February. I believe that took about a year hiatus, but we're gonna start that up again. We're currently planning to update our resident survey to better understand how residents interact with the township. That will be sent out on a variety of platforms. The Communications Committee is really looking forward to helping the township with the open space referendum in any way that they can. And we were very happy to have Junior Supervisor Thomas Holloway at our last meeting to give some really good perspective for the younger generation. Our next meeting is going to be on February 18th at 7:30 in this room.
Very good. All right. Any questions for Health? All right, moving right along, Recreation Authority, this may come as a great surprise, but no one's playing golf right now. So, in spite of that, we're getting some work done at the golf course. The inside has been painted. I know they did some cleanup work on the floors. So once spring does arrive, I think we'll be ready to roll. So with that, we will have a meeting. We did not have a meeting in January, obviously, but we will be having one here on February 26th at 7 p.m. In this room. All right. Next up, unfinished business. I don't think there are any items for that. So moving right along, we'll move to new business. 0 Hoffman Road parcel ID 50-00-01099-01-2 preliminary / final residential subdivision discussion of waivers only.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening. My name is Adam Prince. I'm with Furavanti Engineers on behalf of Ilya Sibchuk and Hoffman LLC to discuss the 3-lot subdivision near the golf course. So the plan that's up there right now is our latest submittal. I do want to point out one change before we talk about the waivers. Previously we proposed a shared force main in the common driveway to run through an easement up through lot 1 to connect to an existing clean out up there. I met with the township authority. They would prefer we have 3 separate connections. Otherwise DEP would make them own the whole line. So we said that's fine. We took lot 1 to this connection. Lot 3 runs down the driveway, puts a separate connection here. And then lot 2 just comes down the hill and ties in. They all tie into the existing pressure sewer on the street.
So you ultimately revise the plans to reflect that, right?
Right, yeah. And then we haven't started revising the plan, but we have the letter from your engineer. All will comply, except for 2 waiver items and then maybe a 3rd administrative waiver for preliminary and final approval in one meeting if that's determined to be necessary. So I could talk a little bit more about the plan. I know the agenda said waivers only. It's up to you guys how you'd like me to proceed with the meeting.
And it's up to the board. If there's any questions, it's a 3-lot subdivision, so it's fairly straightforward. But we can attack the waivers as it were. And then if there's questions about the plan, we'll go to that.
All right, sounds good. So I have three waivers on my waiver submittal letter from February 2nd. First waiver is from the subdivision land development ordinance, section 18, which again may be necessary. The language was I couldn't interpret the language that said we might not need the waiver. Preliminaries or a final approval may be recommended, even though there wasn't a preliminary approval. So I just kind of threw it on there in case the board wanted to keep it.
They need the waiver.
All right, cool.
We're
That's
gonna
why
do it
it's
together,
there.
the waiver is
So
there.
that's waiver number 1 for the request a joint preliminary final approval. Number 2 is from the Lower Salford Township Engineering Standards, section 107.5 to request smaller pipe diameters than 18 inches. Some of the yard drains in the yard are 8 inches. Like there's yard drains that go around the homes that connect into the storm sewer systems here, around the back. 18 inches is very large for yard drains. So we are proposing for 8-inch pipe throughout some of those smaller segments.
Do you have a grading and drainage plan that shows those pipes or?
Yeah, it should be in the packet there.
Sorry, Mike.
I don't know if you have the whole plan set with you. I have on my easel board, I have the grading plan.
Okay.
Yeah, that one should work. All right. So that would be these smaller drains that go around the perimeter of the homes. They all feed into the proposed stormwater basins. And I want to also add that these are all going to be underground. So you're not going to see any of the stormwater. It's just all underground. Same thing here, all 8 inch around, ties into the existing basins. And we have to do the MRC style basins because the infiltration rates were terrible. So DEP's making us do and that's all gonna be done with the NPDES permit and yada, 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 so. 18 inch pipe would be a little overkill for some of those yard drains.
So you don't have any of those pipes in the public right of way? They're all on private property?
No, they are gonna connect some pipe to Hoffman Road, and we're suggesting that they be the ordinance, what the ordinance requires.
Yeah, that was one of the comments.
Yes.
Yeah. The connection, I believe, would be here for RC2 outlet. This discharge from the storm basin, the rate control basin ties in, I believe, to an existing inlet in the street. Right there, this pipe would be ordinance standard. And same with lot 1, a little higher. Right over there. This one would also be, as it enters the roadway, would be ordinance standard.
Okay.
Which are the ones you're suggesting do from 18 to 8?
18 to 8 would just be the ones around the perimeter of the home, collecting the yard drains. And once it transitions into the MRC basins, the sizes get a lot larger inside the basins.
And Michelle, you're okay with that?
They will, I am okay with it, they will all be privately owned.
Yeah, all the stormwater will be owned by the HOA, there's a proposed HOA for all stormwater and the private easement for the turnaround. All 3 properties can freely use the public easement. Any maintenance will be required to be taken care of by the HOA. Which in conjunction to pipe size, the third and final waiver is from the very next section of code 107.6 that permits or that requires reinforced concrete pipe. We're proposing PVC pipe, again, for the yard drains, around the perimeter, all PVC pipe. PVC pipe, it's within the system. But I want to point out that, like I said, the connections to the main and the street, and also the connection for the culverts will all be concrete or HDPE. And the one that takes it under the shared driveway would be HDPE or concrete as well. Those would not be PVC structure.
The driveway is going to be a private driveway, so that I have no objections with that being HDPE, but as stated, any pipe that goes into Hoffman Road should be RCP.
And you're okay with that?
Go with me. Yeah.
Very good.
So that would be all 3 waivers that we would need, and rest of the letter will comply, all grading landscaping items within is good to me.
You're happy with let's think about like the planning commission was good with these waivers?
Yes.
And any questions from the board on any of these requests? All right, so the way it works is we don't give you waiver approval tonight, but you get a sense of the board. Those approvals will come when you submit preliminary or preliminary finding.
Okay.
It'll be on the plans.
Excellent.
And to Ms. Fountain's satisfaction.
All right. Sounds good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right, next up. Ordinance 2026-02 sign ordinance amendment, ZO section 164-107 to include the AO district. This is authorization to advertise for that amendment to the zoning ordinance. Any questions on that? In our packets?
Give an overview.
Yeah, Mike, why don't you
So
give
it's
us a
a
brief overview?
It's a brief overview. Got it. It's a simple amendment to the zoning ordinance, just to clarify the requirements for signage in the AO zoning district.
Which did not. They were not there.
Right. So basically, they'll be the same as the commercial district.
Can you be explicit, where are the AO zoning districts so people know in this?
The corner of Maple Avenue and Oak Drive at 355 Maple and at Alderford Park are the 2 locations for the AOs in the district.
The planning commission has looked at this, they are agreeable, amenable to the changes that we're proposing.
Yes.
Very good. All right, any questions? So with that, we'll take a motion to approve ordinance, that motion to authorization to advertise ordinance 2026 -02.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution 2026-04, 488, Harleysville Pike preliminary land development plan approval. Ms. Piazza, good to see you.
I'm Kristen Pianzio from Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, and Lupin. It's nice to see you. We're here tonight for the Orleans preliminary plan approval. We were here a couple weeks ago to discuss with you the waivers that are part of this land development application. We have met numerous times, I think 6 total, with your planning commission. Over a course of 19 months, we've worked with the planning commission, working out the particulars of this development with the planning commission, your staff, consultants, and the neighbors. And we appear now ready for preliminary plan approval with the recommendation from the planning commission for the same. The waivers are in furtherance of the law of Pennsylvania, meeting the intent of your code. We can comply with all other requirements of the subdivision and land development ordinance of the township. We have actually obtained 2 of our required outside agency approvals. As you know, the law of Pennsylvania is that approvals are subject to obtaining outside agency approvals. Usually after final approval, we are here only for preliminary, knowing that we'll be back for final. But we do have in hand our PennDOT highway occupancy permit for the improvements along Route 113. The township obviously had a hand in communicating with PennDOT. We had a traffic study. It was reviewed, discussed with PennDOT. But PennDOT ultimately issues the approval for those improvements. We do have that permit. And secondly, we have our NPDES permit. That is a federal permit, which is regulated by the Montgomery County Conservation District, having to do with our stormwater management facilities and erosion and sedimentation controls. Normally, we wouldn't have that by now, but because we've been at this for so long, we have that in hand as well. Obviously, we have a joint 105 permit that we have to get after approval, and water and sewer, all of which are underway and clearly acceptable conditions. We have worked out the conditions of the approval in the resolution that is before you. The conditions of the approval are acceptable to our client, and we are here ready for your vote.
Very good. Any comments or questions from the board?
2 of the things that I've heard from the residents in the meetings that I've been a part of are in regard to the trees, the planting and the placement of the trees, and then also the privacy between the new development and their development. And, understanding that the trail will go through the development, ultimately connect with the trailing in Balderford Park. Just wondering if, before we get to the final, where do we stand with the privacy? When you talk about 3 feet to 6 feet on the fence and the tree plantings, just what your update on those 2 things for me.
Okay, so there are landscaping requirements in the code. There are replacement tree requirements in your code. We have packed the property as much as we can with the trees that are required. There were pockets where there were some room. The planning commission identified that between our road A and the properties on Cheswick. There were identified locations where they asked us to fill that in. That is a requirement of the approval, and that's been attached to the resolution that you have. We've done that. Also, at the end of the cul-de-sac, there are houses on Windsor that were afraid headlights would bother them. We had ornamental trees that we swapped out for evergreens. Your code requires trees to be 6 to 8 feet in height. We agreed to increase them to 8 to 10 feet in height. 2 of those trees swapped out for those evergreens, and then we added 3 more to add sort of a wall of evergreens to block those headlights. The trail that goes from that cul-de-sac down to the township open space is in a 25-foot wide easement. We were asked to move the trail as far away from the property line from the trail. That's one of the waivers. It's supposed to not be closer than 5 feet to the edge. We moved it as far away as possible. to give them, privacy and the respect that they've requested. So there are some environmental features there. We were mindful of that, but moved it as far away as we could. We can't make the development disappear. There are houses here. They're townhouses. We can't hide them. We can't build, the trees are only so high. We can't block the fact that the houses are going to be there. There was request that we put a split rail fence along the perimeter because what's there is dilapidated, and putting something fresh and new was the consensus of the neighbors along the Cheswick boundary and Windsor. One neighbor in particular wanted a board-on-board fence. That wasn't the consensus of the others, and so we went with the split rail as the consensus of those all around. So I think I've addressed all three of your questions.
That's true.
One, just something for the benefit of the audience, now, have you considered layering when it came to the landscaping, like larger trees, medium size and lower shrubs?
Yes.
Block the
Yes,
view
there-
of it?
There is quite a variety of different plantings, from ornamentals to evergreens to shade to bushes. All, as you can see, this is our landscape plan. We had to leave a little room for growth so that things would live and not strangle each other. But where there were pockets identified and staff felt comfortable that we could fill in a little bit more, we've done that.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant? I think I have. Dare I say, we're gonna open it to the audience. Is there any questions or comments from those of you in the audience? Well, one at a time, and if you're gonna speak, just offer your name and address for the record. Ms. Study, you have the floor.
Should I stay here?
You may.
Oh.
Name and address for the.
Yeah, 483 Cheswick Drive. Betty. Just to rebut what she had said about the fences, untrue. One of the residents thought there was gonna be no fence, so he was looking to see if he can get it to keep his own fence there, because he was maintaining it when Dr. Durstein had left the property, the previous owner. I have a petition that I had put out 2 or 3 days ago, and I received a majority of the Cheswick, Windsor, and Wexford Circle indicating they would like a 6-foot privacy fence. So anybody that wanted any type of a split rail or any other kind of consensus must have been in a different development meeting, I guess, because that wasn't this one. Yeah, I have problems with the waivers. I spoke with you yesterday, and I'll just go through the waivers that I have a problem with, other than the development. And second of all, basically, you did not have to cram. I understand you have 36 or 39 of these townhouses in a 9-acre lot. But you've already been recommended by the planning commission that 26 is still too many. And you did not have to go plot them in the middle of the lots, right by the residents that live there. You could have been in the front part of the development on 113, and let the wetlands alone, let the trees alone, and nothing would have been disturbed, and we would not have had anything but maybe a far cry of 32 peak townhouses, 32-foot peaks all over the front of 113. Do you want to do that? That's fine. It could have been a sound barrier for us, because 113 is like a turnpike right now with the sounds. So that would have been appropriate. This isn't the first residents meeting or development that we've had trouble with. And I wish you could have accommodated us a little bit more, just to be able to even go through, like, none of these. We wouldn't even have half these waivers if you had done something like that that was respectful to an existing neighborhood that had been there for over 40 years. The trees, 80 trees versus 666. I'm hoping that could be further reviewed. We need to balance the environment the streams and rivers that the underwater waterways are leading into are gonna be drastically affected just because we don't have any trees. We're gonna have an increased downstream velocity and flooding. We're gonna have enhanced erosion and sedimentation. The sedimentation is gonna go into the Perkiomenville and the Skippack River, and the Skippack River is already polluted and already has a watch on it to be observed for any more further pollution. And a lot of sedimentation is gonna come out of it. We're gonna have the aquatic habitat gone, the floodplain connectivity is gonna be gone. You're gonna have increased water temperatures, the trees aren't gonna be able to cool the water. We're gonna have a disaster, is what we're gonna have. The riparian area, the banks of the stream disrupt the hydrology of a watershed. You're gonna have increased surface pollution. You're gonna have intercepting rain, you're gonna have so many things that are gonna happen because you're missing 580 trees. The fencing, we've already discussed that. Wish it could be amended to a 6-foot privacy fence. I looked up the Saldo ordinance, and there is an ordinance between the zoning ordinance, chapter 164, and the Saldo ordinance, chapter 142, that states that the Board of Supervisors could make the developers increase their buffer with something like a fence for existing neighborhoods affected by a new cluster development, which is exactly what this is. Having a 6-foot privacy fence will not block the disappointing view that we're gonna see, but it'll give us some security and peace of mind, knowing that over 100 residents living 500 feet or less from our backyard, as well as hundreds of pedestrians on a new walking path 25 feet away from our backyard, will be moseying along. We will have no security, we have pools and we have sheds. Yes, that is our problem. However, somebody should be at least respectful of the fact that you're introducing hundreds and hundreds of people into this backyard of an existing neighborhood. I don't know how many times you've been swapping a development in the middle of an existing neighborhood, but this is an experience for you. And the safety, the 113 traffic, we did not have an updated traffic study, so that really should not be accepted. The traffic study is post-COVID, it's about 4 years old. We do not have an updated traffic study. I had asked Joe of the Supervisors Board, I had asked him to find out from PennDOT if we could get an updated traffic study and also a truck study, that there was a misunderstanding with PennDOT that we did not end up getting that. I think once we get those two things, then we can do some safety measures. So if PennDOT is going to mess up and make this intersection where it's at, because that's going to be their claim to fame, we need to have some more safety measures. We need to have some flashing lights. We need to have bus stop signs. We need to not pass on the shoulder signs, because people are going to get run over all over the place. Pedestrian crosswalks. There's a lot of things that we need to do other than just plopping an entrance. A 238.6 feet away from a Cheswick development. The Cheswick neighborhood has been here over 40 years, has always been the best quality of life, having had the layout of homes less congested compared to the newer developments. Having the Durstein Farm as our backyard, or even have it surround this development, elevated the peace and tranquility of this area. The residents of Cheswick never anticipated losing the Durstein Farm in such an extreme and emotional way. There will be a lot of devastation in the neighborhood and community coming from this new development. We are very disappointed that our once peaceful residential neighborhood will now become a part of a cluster townhouse development with a street in the front of us and a street in the back. The quality of life has been diminished. I feel that there is very little that we are asking for compared to how much we are losing forever. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to be recognized? Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Eileen DeVee, 471 Wexford Circle in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. My husband and I bought that home 37 years ago now.
Just yesterday.
We've been there, and I first want to thank you, members of the board, for your time and your efforts and the work that you do to make Lower Salford a safe and a lovely place to live and to raise our families. I also want to thank you for this opportunity to comment.
Sure.
Thank you. I feel strongly about a 6-foot privacy fence being provided by the developers. A 6-foot privacy fence installed well inside the property's current fence line would address the issues about privacy that we currently have and would also be more respectful of the environment. And I agree with Duddy about the privacy issue, people who are just walking right through our backyards. It's not just walking on the bike path, it's not just walking from the development, it's also people having access to our backyards in ways that we've never experienced before, because we've always had the farm as a buffer. I'm concerned about the damaging impact that will occur with the interruption of the current passage of water that currently flows through the proposed development area. Some of us, many of us, have dealt with squishy yards and flooded basements. After a heavy rain, we know what to expect and we know how to deal with it. The interruption that the development will cause will create an upheaval in the water's course. No one can predict how this interference will impact us, but it will impact us. Water always finds a way. We also need to know that there are safety features that will protect children living in the new property. And I want to know, well, will there be a fence around any retention ponds? And what about other areas that will collect water? Will children be kept safe with fencing or other deterrents for them? There's a need for a safe bus stop shelter to delineate where students of all ages can be protected from the threatening traffic on 113.
That is part of the resolution that they're going to put one in, is what they've agreed to.
Terrific, terrific. I've seen closed bus stops, which would be dangerous for a number of reasons. They would interfere with the line of sight for traffic coming and going, and they also would provide an environment where someone who's up to no good might hurt the children. But a clear structure that can keep the kids, at least in a general area, far away from the road is mandatory. It has to happen. Replacing this devastated habitat with a meager 80 trees out of the 666 required is a paltry attempt at restoring the natural beauty of this property that means so much to us. The developers are allowed so many waivers. Those waivers, for the most part, are detracting measures of safety and environmental health from the area and from those of us who already live here. Requesting those waivers indicates a disregard for us, a disregard for a community that will be impacted in ways not yet understood. It sure seems to me that the need for all these waivers indicates that the proposed development is ill-suited to this property and surrounding community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to be recognized? One at a time, and who's first?
I'm Debbie Helt. I live at 475 Wexford Circle. Eileen's neighbor. I am asking, whose responsibility is it when we have a major storm, the basins are full, the ground is saturated, Bullfrog Creek will not be able to handle it. I say that because when Floyd came through, that area where I live, where Eileen lives, is kind of where the land over a little bit, Mike, up, right, yeah, right, go up to the left a little, just right there. You all can come over for coffee. That's that's the bend, okay, and you see, I have the basin to the left. Along along the 15 foot buffer. And then. To the left a little more, right there, and then I have the basin straight out from me, right behind the financial building now. And so when they fill up and they want to run over into Bullfrog Creek. When Floyd came through, that area in our backyard was from fence to fence, water, fence to fence. It was like Mississippi River going through there. Did it eventually clear out? Yes, it did. But when you put all that development in there, you've impacted, even if you're collecting it in basins, you've impacted the natural runoff. You've got houses, you've got pavements. So whose responsibility when my basement gets water and I've never had a problem? Because it's been natural trees and the soil have all collected it. If I have a problem, who do I contact and whose responsibility is it? Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to be recognized?
Alan Duddy, 483 Chestnut Drive. I just wanted to clarify one thing for the board. At the last planning commission meeting, we have talked about the fencing. Currently, there is a split rail fence along with other type of fencing around the perimeter of the property. It's dilapidated now since Dr. Thurstein no longer is there. It's falling down. As one resident said, the trees are holding it up at this point.
Okay.
The developer final offer at that meeting was, we won't touch that fence. We're going to leave the dilapidated fence where it currently stands. And we're going to put a two rail split rail fence, which is approximately 3 foot high, further in the property line. So what we're going to end up with is a 2 foot, 3 foot rather, two split rail fence next to a dilapidated fence that's currently there, which is totally unacceptable. We're going to have two fences. Let's just take down the fence that's currently there, put up a privacy fence, because we're gonna have walking trails within our backyards. Why are we gonna leave two fences there? That just doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to point that out. That was the last meeting. Mr. McHugh actually came to our development and visited our property and looked at the property and said, let's get a consensus from the neighbors as to what type of fence you would prefer. And as my wife just said, we did get a consensus. They want a privacy fence. So that's what we're asking for, and I hope the board takes that into consideration. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to be recognized? Take two.
One more question?
Lay it on.
Thank you. I was just a point of clarification, Debbie, could you help me with this? I just wanted to understand, there are trees beyond our property on the development's land that are pine trees that are decades old. And I wanted clarification about those pine trees. Will they be removed? Will they remain?
Remain.
Do you know where on the
Those are the ones, and you had said earlier they would remain.
Yes.
In previous.
They would remain.
Yeah.
All of them along there? The ones that are actually trees, I'm not talking about
Yes,
shrubs.
they're like 50 feet tall.
It's a huge, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for your answer.
Related to that, I'm Lori Yamashita, 470 Wexford Circle. And I know we have a lot of people that want to comment, but my question is it allowable to remove trees outside of the limit of disturbance? And for the demolition plan, it appears there are trees all outside the limit of disturbance on both streets, Windsor and Cheswick, as well as there's trees right on the border. And I know comments had come up about easements and I don't understand it all, but I guess my question, Michelle, can trees be removed outside of the LOD?
The LOD should take care of everything that they're disturbing. So if they're removing a tree, it should be within the limit of disturbance. If there are some trees that you believe are outside of it, we will look at that. The plan is approved today, we'll look at that during final plan approval.
Okay, I mean, you could look at it today, it's the DM 100 print. And it was revised October 31st of 2025. It's clear that there's,
I'm sorry. go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's a nice colored print
Okay.
where the trees being removed are in red.
Mhm.
And the clear LOD line, limited disturbance. There are trees on the Cheswick Drive side. And there are trees on the Windsor side that appear to be absolutely outside the limit of disturbance, and some right on the border of the two properties.
We'll verify that the limit of disturbance area is correct, and if it has to be expanded, then we will make sure they do so, and that would require a minor amendment to their NBDES permit.
Would that be a waiver?
No,
The limited disturbance is related to the NPDES,
Yes.
the stormwater discharge.
yes.
Anyone else wishing to be recognized?
First of all, we're gonna,
Name and record.
sorry, Heather Dajane, 391 Barclay Circle, out of this building.
See you.
So I want to thank you guys for writing the, what is it? Yes, the resolution. And including in that all of the things that the developer has said that they will do that they have not yet done. I appreciate that. And I would like to clarify some of my comments about the trees that I made previously. My comment that there could be more trees there and that there could be more trees planted. They're two separate things, right? Betty mentioned, you know, there are a lot of houses there. They could have left more trees. And there could be more trees planted. Specifically, you could layer the trees on top of each other. There are trees like serviceberry and dogwoods that love being in full shade, and the plantings could have been increased. So our code, I believe, needs every waiver to be stated what is the minimum waiver required. And so my statement here is to say that the waiver is not a minimum required because there could be even more trees and there could have been fewer trees removed. And also along the trail out towards the power line, there could be more trees over there. I understand that you can't plant underneath the power lines, but on the other side of the easement, you could plant more, and also on the south side there, outside of the easement, you could plant more there. Yeah. And I would like to appreciate or state my support for all of the neighbors, and also to thank the board for being here to listen to us.
Of course. It's our job after all. Anyone else wishing to be recognized?
Hi, Lori Yamashita. I was looking for Tom Boggs. Okay. I don't want to steal your thunder, but with the existing conditions, Tom Boggs has a private well on his property. I understand there's a waiver to not do the 100-foot survey along the neighbors' areas. And I guess it was first proposed to be just 50 feet. And there was a recent change that talked about just replacing that with an aerial view. But Tom came to this meeting and he's talking about his kids, how he has a private well. And I didn't see any follow-up. Now, in terms of surveying, something I brought up at the January 21st meeting, I understood Ms. Pianzio to say, I asked why can't they survey the neighbor's area? And I understood the answer was, well, that would be trespassing. And I said, well, they've already gone on one neighbor's property without permission Cause I was at the stop sign, I saw the surveyor company from Westchester. Went up and talked to the guy, I said, do you have permission to do this? You know, what you doing? Oh, I'm surveying 113. And I said, what about permission? He says, oh, that was sent. So I texted the neighbor, he said, no, he was not. He did not give permission, he was not contacted. So it's interesting to me, it's allowable to trespass on a neighbor's property to get the surveying done for Route 113. I took a picture, the date, it's a company from Westchester. But they don't want to meet the requirement in Saldo, about 100 feet. When you look at the waivers, most of them come down to save time, save money, or not enough space. I think it was great. I looked back at the first meeting when the planning commission commented, and they basically said the same thing. There's not enough space. It looks like the houses are scrunched up. And there were at least two members that specifically said, I'll tell you what houses you should remove. And they were very specific. Now, in terms of zoning, maybe this meets the letter of the law, but certainly not the intent. These houses are surrounded by stormwater management stuff. Again, there's across of Route 113, there's 6.65 acres identified by the engineering firm that runs off to this property. There's twin pipes below 113. That is the start of the natural stream, which is proposed to be rerouted. Now they're disturbing within this approximately 9-acre property, they are disturbing 6 acres. So basically, dig it up, plop down the houses. I won't go into the quality of houses because that is an opinion, but I have a couple proposals here, and I have a lot of comments specifically. At the January 21st board meeting, I understood the applicants had filed a chapter 105 permit. That's water and waterways. I've contacted the engineering manager there. He assured me, he confirmed the application was in. And notice will be put in the February 14th Pennsylvania Bulletin. It allows for a 30-day comment period. With that, certainly we all have these environmental concerns, specifically with water. I'm proposing that we defer the preliminary plan approval. If this waterway, if the DEP has not looked at this and approved building around a wetland and rerouting a natural stream, why don't we pause now, allow for the public comment to go to the DEP, and then we could proceed. I think that would be more efficient overall for both the applicant to not go any further and to allow us to talk with the DEP.
The outside agency permit approvals are not a requirement under Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, and Andy can speak to it maybe better than I can. Those permits are typically gotten after preliminary plan approval. So, for example, what Ms. Pianzo was speaking to tonight about having the PennDOT permit, the NPDS permit, all in advance of having preliminary plan approval. Well, that they're doing that at their risk, right? Same would be true here. We give preliminary plan approval. If they can't get their 105 permit, they'll be back to see us.
Yeah, I would just add to that, if this preliminary approval were granted with that condition, they have to get that permit as part of their approval. They can't, then they got to come back to us and they don't have approval. So
it's all at their risk.
That's why it's customary for outside agency permits and arguably required that they be conditions of approval, not used to hold up an approval.
So that would be preliminary approval with that contingent before the final would be.
Well, I mean, it could be, it's customary for outside agencies to be even conditions of final approval as well. It's conditions to them recording the plans and constructing the development for sure.
And in the event they cannot secure those permits, they have to come back.
Yeah, if they can't secure those permits, they don't have an approval.
I guess, looking at it the other way, what will they have approval for with this preliminary approval? What can the developers do?
They can proceed to final approval in accordance with this plan. So there's a two-step process. Preliminary plan approval, they'd have to come back for final plan approval. Preliminary plan approval gives them the right to proceed to final approval in accordance with this plan, subject to all the conditions that are in the resolution that's before the board for consideration. So it's the first step in the plan approval process.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you use some different words to explain that?
It means this
In that-
plan has preliminary approval.
Yeah.
And they're entitled to proceed to final plan approval pursuant to the development that's on this plan. So they can build this, but they have to satisfy the conditions of preliminary approval and to get a final approval from this board.
Right, they can't start digging.
They can't start moving earth and digging or doing anything else. They have to continue on in the process. But it gives them the ability to eventually develop this plan.
It gives them the ability to eventually develop. Can you give me an example of what they can do physically?
Physically to the site?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing in accordance to this plan. They have to come back to this board and get a final
They
plan.
can't do anything to the site until they have final approval and they have all of their permits.
And we record the plan in the county and they enter into development agreements and stormwater management agreements. And they post financial security with the township, secure the installation of those improvements. So there's a number of steps that remain. This is just the very beginning of the process.
Well, you mentioned financial security, and I understand that it's proposed to have a fee in lieu of the trees, the 586 trees. And the calculation that I did, it's like less than $103 per tree. And I would love to buy a tree planted in my backyard for $130. Is that a standard number for Lower Southford, or does it differ by developer?
No, it's in consideration of a few other things, the additional landscaping that they're doing along Road A and at the end of the cul-de-sac. They have agreed to plant some shrubs along the township trail connection on the township's property. They're doing the fence around the outside, and I believe they've agreed to guarantee the installation of landscaping for 18 months after the project's complete. So there are different factors that go into arriving at that number. And it was a contribution from them. They're obviously seeking a waiver, but they've agreed to that number.
The question still stands, sorry. Who calculated that number?
There's no calculation.
There's no calculation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, who proposed that number?
Well, I think it was mentioned at the January meeting here, and it was suggested to the developer, and they agreed to post that number.
I do remember.
It's a contribution. It's not a requirement of the ordinance. They're obviously seeking a waiver. It's something that was asked for.
So let's see, what you're saying is the developer proposed that amount and the township proposes to, or is thinking about accepting it.
No,
We'll approve it tonight as part of the resolution. Sorry, Andy.
right, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I mean, we looked at the totality of what's being put forth in that the fees that are involved, the work that's being done, and that seems to us to be a reasonable number.
Okay, so the number was proposed by the board and not the developer. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah,
Thank
correct.
you.
Correct. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
The study. And we are gonna move this along one way or the other here.
Tonight?
We're gonna take a vote tonight for sure.
Okay, a few of us were here, sorry, Betty, a few of us were here yesterday,
Yeah.
and
I was too.
yeah. Sorry, it seemed like you said we are approving this before the fact, and it just seemed like it was set in stone.
If I said that, I may have misspoke. We're gonna put a vote, there'll be a vote this evening, one way or the other.
Okay, Betty, if you don't mind, I have a process or a procedural question. In the CS, the site plan 100 dated August of 2024. There's a note, I understand it's a zoning requirement for the active recreation area. And it's supposed to be, let's see, 5% of the total.
We talked about this yesterday morning, evidently
Yeah.
not to your satisfaction, because Michelle can go over it again if you'd like.
No, well, if I may just proceed with the
Sure.
question.
If there's a question.
I had heard at another public meeting about, well, let me read this, connection of the proposed trail to the existing township's community path system has been provided in lieu of the active recreation area, parentheses, to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. So at that point, the developer in August of 2024 was saying, we know they don't have room for the active recreation center based on the requirements. But it said to be approved, and it was discussed in a meeting. But was there a deal back in that point to do that? I guess what I'm asking, it was.
I don't know what you're talking about, any deal.
Okay,
There's
I'm
no
bad
deal.
words. I'm not an attorney. And no disrespect meant, I just wonder why the township just bought this property for the connection within the last month, did I understand that right?
No,
That
that's,
it wasn't.
just to clarify, that's property the township was dedicated to the township by the developer of the Parkview. Next door, off of Maple and Oak, the new development that's there. So that's open space that was, at that point, plan was already approved. They were already in construction, and the developer was donating, basically giving that land to the township as open space. So we already knew it was happening because the plan was approved. So we knew that.
This has been going on for years.
For years.
So you knew the plan, you were gonna get the property, but you
Correct.
didn't actually have it.
It wasn't officially dedicated.
And we draft notes knowing that that plan isn't going to be recorded for a long time. So at the time it gets recorded, the township will own the property and that note will have meaning. We draft this thing knowing that this is going to take a long time. We're 19 months into it. We still only have preliminary, hopefully, and still have to get final. So by the time that plan is recorded, the township will have acquired that property and that note will have meaning at the time it's recorded. We always draft the notes for when the plan is actually recorded, which is at the very end of this process, after we get all of our approvals, post our escrows, enter into our agreements before a shovel's put in the ground.
So it was discussed at that time with the township.
It was our proposal to meet the zoning requirement, yes.
And I always thought zoning requirements were done first before you get into land development.
No, we have to show that we meet zoning, and that's why there's a zoning chart on the plan. We made no deal with the supervisors. The supervisors are only just now having their first vote on this plan.
Thank you, I think I understand that part better.
Very good. Mr. Day.
Can I just ask a procedural question? If you do grant preliminary, where does that leave the questions regarding fencing, traffic? How does that play into the trees? Where does that play in at this point? Does that go back to the planning commission? Does it go back to you before the final?
They will go back to the planning commission to seek approval for their final plan. And I suspect some of these other smaller issues will be worked out or vetted at that time.
They just comment, they're not really small issues to us.
Well, I understand.
I all respect, it just not so neat.
Understood.
One thing, has anybody seen this property? Have you guys
Many
seen it?
times.
Have you?
Mhm.
You realize how many trees are there?
I do.
Okay. You realize I have a
a center tree in the middle of that lot. That's my favorite. That's beside my.
Well, with all due respect, you're laying claim to amenities that are not on your property. So by virtue of doing that, I mean, I may like, my neighbor's Mercedes, but it's not mine. So with all due respect, I mean, the property, something is going to be built here.
I'm not.
So the idea is to build the best improvements that we can for the municipality, given all of the constraints. And for those of you that have come to all these meetings, you understand now, maybe have a little better appreciation for all of the constraints that there are. So we do the best we can.
I'm not being
and
hurt. I don't mean
the
to be
developer does
disrespectful.
what they do, and we move forward.
I just wanted to make a note of that because everybody in the whole neighborhood knows that. That's all.
Of course.
And
We understand.
And if there's, do I have to plead to the planning commission then for us not to take an in lieu fee of $75,000 for trees that are going to affect that whole lot and all of our lots and our air and our water? I just want to know who to plead. Who to do the plea to?
Well,
It's in here, it's in here.
Yeah, it's in the resolution, and I will tell you that that $75,000 is a benefit to the municipality as a whole, because it affords us the opportunity to plant trees where they can thrive and be beneficial to all of Lower South.
I
So
understand, but we have a big lot of 9.3 acres that has 666 trees on it. That needs just as much. I'm really grateful that Lower Southford's gonna get more trees. But the fact that all you see is trees in this and we're gonna have 80. Somebody has to have a reality check here. And I'm not being disrespectful to you, but there's no amount.
You're on the border. You're on the border there, I think.
I know, I'm sorry.
Anything else?
I don't
Anyone
need to
else wish to be recognized? One more time?
Mine is just seeking clarity, if you would.
Sure.
The walking path was going to be 15 feet away from the fence, but then you said that they were going to move it over. And I know that there's like a 25-foot buffer, from the fence, 25 feet. So my question, just for clarity, where is that 8-foot walking path going to be? If you have to go from the fence to 25 feet, where is that 8-foot walking path?
25. I would say 25 starts from the top. Give us 1 second.
I wanted to clarify too. Everybody keeps saying 600 and some trees that are cutting down. They're not cutting down that many trees. There is 600 and so trees, the equivalent trees, right? So if you cut down a 24-inch tree, they're supposed to plant so many trees to replace that tree. Okay. Well, if you put, I don't know, what is it, 8 or 10 or however many trees, you put 10 trees in a little cluster where the old tree was, they're not going to live. So you have to spread them out and they will grow. So if you put one tree back where that 24-inch caliber tree was, in a few years, that will be, so the rest of them may not fit on the property. And it happens a lot. It's not like it's just this property. It happens in almost every development. So we have those extra trees that we can put around for trees that happen to die, or other trees we in a park we may want to install. So that's where that whole thing comes from. They're not cutting down 600 some trees on this site.
They're not. Did you get an answer to the trail?
It's from the edge of the property, the trail begins at 32 feet, and then the trail's 8 feet wide.
32 feet.
32 feet from the edge, then 8 feet.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
One more time.
Thank you. So with 32 feet, there'd be plenty of room for a 6-foot privacy fence. I mean, true, I'm not trying to be funny, really, and I'm not trying to be like, but right?
We're installing a 2-rail, split rail fence.
Your proposal.
Your rail fence is gonna do nothing. Nothing.
We discussed this.
Beautiful.
I'd just like to make a quick comment about the bike path. I know some of you have mentioned concerns in various meetings, and I just want to say the feedback that we get at the park board has it's always been positive. The neighbors, the people that have bike paths joining their property appreciate them and really like the feature of being able to walk somewhere. And the connectivity of the paths is one of the township's greatest assets, in my opinion, and many of the people that come before the park board, I think Holly would agree. We get so much positive feedback, and I know it's a change coming to your community, but I think it should be a welcome addition to your community, and I think you will hopefully very much enjoy it.
I just counter on that, I'm gonna end up with a street in front of my house, a bike path behind my house, and a street behind my house. I don't appreciate that. I don't know how many members of the board have a street in front of their house, a street behind their house. And I've lived there for over 30 some odd 5 years. And now I'm gonna have traffic in front of my house, traffic, garbage trucks, buses, going behind my house, and then in front of my house. And people walking behind my house. Not a quality of life issue.
To piggyback on that, Alan, we understand, you know, the DOT picked the entranceway. I had an idea, because I've told you, I'm really concerned about the safety on Route 113. To make it more safe, is it possible to put in perhaps a right turn only out of the development? And a right turn only into the development? Would that be a PennDOT type of proposal?
It would be a PennDOT, and I will save you the time, effort, and energy of going to PennDOT. For 26 townhomes, they are not gonna put in a right turn. There's just not enough traffic to warrant.
I'm more concerned, as I mentioned yesterday, about widening the road by design so people can pass cars on the right side. That is a bike lane. And if I understood the bus shelter proposal, is that proposed to be on Route 113? Couldn't it be on private road?
Its location has yet to be determined, and my suspicion is that a return to the planning commission will likely vet that question.
I thought I read 113 here, that it's in the proposal.
I think it depends on the school district, whether they decide to have it installed. They have a lot of say on that.
The school district decides on the bus shelter.
Well, where the pickup is.
Where the pickup is.
Yeah.
And I doubt if a bus will go into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, it can't, the private.
Right, it'll sort of, it makes sense.
That
Bus
is
pickup
concrete
is one
path for
13,
the children.
shelter on 13.
Anyone else wishing to be recognized that hasn't yet spoken this evening? Yes, sir. Name and address.
We're 78 Farleysville Pike. I just wanna I have property that, you know, my backyard, it goes kind of where the path is there. And the trees that are holding up the fence, has it been surveyed? Like, what about trees that are kind of on both of our properties? What happens to a tree like that? Cause obviously they're pretty mature trees at that point.
Are they doing is there disturbance?
Yeah, they're remaining. We're not touching them.
And then the fence that is sort of stuck in the trees,
It remains.
the wire that's left is remaining.
Whatever's
So
there is
who has
there.
to take care of that? I have to cut that out now, or?
It would depend on whose property it's on, frankly.
We haven't investigated that. It's an existing condition and we plan on leaving it alone.
Right, yeah, they're not touching, is the answer.
What are they putting a fence behind it then? Like what's happening?
No, we're not proposing any fence in that area. We're leaving that area exactly the way it is.
But if it's on your property, what do I do with the dilapidated fence?
I guess you could reach out and see if there's any way to resolve it, but we have not done anything as far as touching anything in that area. That's an existing condition. We do not plan on in any way changing.
Reach out to, you know, who do I talk to?
The owner,
I thought you're the owner.
I'm not the owner.
So who's going to be the owner?
Well, you could contact the existing owner if you'd like. He's been there. This has been an existing condition for a long time. You could contact him.
Do anything. He's not gonna. thing, once the people on the front.
Somebody else's yard.
We could talk about that outside of this meeting.
Yeah, one at a time. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken this evening who wishes to be recognized?
Yeah, Alan Bose, 423 Windsor Drive. Yeah, so the concern here too, of course, the entrance, that's a major concern with traffic. Not only for us, but for this new development too. So you might have two issues right there. Also, the runoff for water. I mean, of course, it is wetlands, it's a swamp back there. I thought right up against it. But then you have the new development that we put in. So they're gonna get flooded out too. So this, it just doesn't make sense. Too much water runoff. With all the water that we get anymore, it's a choice. So hopefully you guys take that into consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be recognized? All right, with that, we'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I have one question.
Sure.
So if we approve the preliminary tonight, do we have to name every condition for the planning commission to consider before it comes back to us? Do we have to name each one?
No, it's all contained within the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I would note is that their offer for the split rail fence is in this resolution, just so the board understands. That's what they've offered.
Right.
Right.
So just to be clear, if they decided to change that, and I'm not suggesting they would, they'd have to amend this resolution.
They could do it as part of final.
Right.
Yeah, but this is what they've
This
offered.
is the direction that the ship is headed, whether it turns course or not, will remain to be seen. They are gonna go back to the planning commission to vet out, as I said earlier, some of the other issues.
And depending on the direction of the ship is based on what the planning commission decides.
Well, recommend, see, they're recommending body, we decide.
Right,
That's our
Right.
job, like it or not. And so they'll take the time and careful consideration, as they've done to get it to the point where it is now, for final approval. And what's before us has been approved by the planning commission. They basically signed off on what's in here along with the plans. So that's where it stands.
And based on your experience, what is the time approximate between tonight, planning commission, back to final?
Well, it can be as short as Andy.
It's up to the applicant, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're gonna move the plan, I think, is on their schedules. Yeah.
And we.
That's a little
That's a
bit.
little
Yeah,
aggressive.
but they'll decide when they wanna come back, but they know they have to go back to the planning commission.
Right, I got
We could resubmit plans, have them reviewed again, go back to the planning commission and then come to you folks.
And the township engineers looked at it
Yes,
and they're good with the plans. I think everybody, it's been thoroughly looked at, this one, it's been, you said 19 months, right?
yes.
This has been back and forth, I know that this is how many changes, how many different times have this gone?
We've gone to the planning commission 6 times. I mean, the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code contemplates 90 days for a review of this plan. We've been 19 months, so we've been in it for quite a while. But these plans will be revised again, resubmitted, reviewed again by your consultants, and then go to the planning commission. And then after we're done with the planning commission, they make a recommendation for final back to you folks for that consideration.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So with that being said, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2026-04, 488 Hardersville Pike, preliminary land development approved.
I will make the motion. For a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Next up. All right, next up, under item 7, new business resolution 2026-05. Authorizing submission of a grant application for the Montgo Forever Green Grant Program. Funding for the purchase of the Hollaback property at 460 Stover Road. While I wish it were for 21.8 million, the cap for the Montgomery County Forever Green Grant Program is $500,000. So we'll take what we can get. We're gonna ask for it and do our best to get it. So with that, that would require, I think, a township match of approximately $125,000. So I think it's worthy of pursuit. We have no reason not to pursue it.
Every dollar. I will make the motion to approve resolution 2026-05.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution 2026-06, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the 2026 round of Montco 2040 implementation grant program pedestrian upgrades. Wow, that's a fun one. That would be for a grant of, I believe, I got this right, $156,750. Which would require a 20% match on behalf of the township, approximately $34,000. This would provide for signal crossing upgrades, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah,
At 10 intersections.
10. Right.
We should do that. Copy.
Yeah. 88 crossings that will speak to you.
So limited.
Yeah.
Wait, say more about that. What's the upgrades for what?
At 10 intersections in the township, just improvements from an ADA perspective that will have crosswalks that can speak to you when to go. And I believe a few ramps are included in that, but not at every intersection.
Excuse me, Stephanie, I think wants to say something.
Yes, please.
Oh, there you go. Fire away.
So it's primarily for pedestrian signal upgrades. And the main improvement is going to be the audible pedestrian signals. The beeping sounds that are that happen for the for those with visual impairments, things like that. So there's a handful of intersections that have the APS signals already included. So this is looking at those intersections that do not, and that's the primary upgrade. I don't believe there will be any ADA ramps because they all actually have pet crossings today. They all actually have ramps that are compliant. So it's really just signal equipment that is part of this proposed upgrade.
Sounds good. Any questions for Stephanie? With that, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2026-06.
I will make the motion.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution 2026-07, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the 2026 round of Montco 2040 implementation grant program multi-municipal signal system upgrade. No. Steph, you're up again. Turn her mic on.
Very good. So this is the same grant program, but it is to provide fiber optic interconnect from the existing signalized intersection at the Walmart Shopping Center and Main Street 63 up west on 63 through up to the Shelley Road intersection in Upper Salford Township. So it's primarily adding the interconnect and then upgrades at the Upper Salford intersection with Shelley Road. So that's why it is considered a multi-municipal signal. There would need to be contributions from both townships, both municipalities if the grant is successful. And this is an action that we need to take if we ultimately are able to submit the application. We are still waiting on a decision from Upper Salford Township on their participation.
Right, so effectively what that would do then is provide for the corridor of Main Street from Womble Road through Shelley Road in its entirety. All those signals would then be connected.
That is correct, yes. And it would be looped, tied back into the Lower Salford Township's EDAPTIve traffic signal system.
Can't think of anything bad about it. All right, so with that, we'll take a motion to approve resolution 2026-07. Unless there's a question.
I will make the motion.
I will second, and I'd just like to say thank you to everybody involved.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. That brings us to our second of two discussion periods on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to be recognized?
You have one question? How do I follow from the dollars in lieu to actual trees planted? How do I follow up with that?
You don't. We have a tree fund. That money will go into the township tree fund. And as the township decides to plant trees in certain places throughout the township, we will use the funds out of that, money out of that fund to purchase and plant the trees.
It is a designated.
So it's not, there's no designated spots for that 75,000. It goes into a pot that we already have created that we use on a regular basis. Trees. I think last year we planted a bunch of trees over along Park Avenue. Football field, we did, I don't know how many there.
Big maples, probably 8 big maples, 6 big maples.
Is there any way to verify that for the residents? And I mean, when that happens, I mean, how is that?
Well,
posted?
there's no way to verify that the $75,000 has been spent because it goes into a pot of money. Obviously, we can verify, where the money comes from when we plant trees.
A better way to approach this might be, if you have a place you'd like to suggest on township property that some trees be planted, we would welcome you to talk to the park board about it. That's a good place to start.
Thank you.
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Tara Jackson, 205 Fairway Court. I just want to know when we'll hear more about what's going to happen at the Alback Farm. My property backs up to it. I know that there's an agreement for the sale, but the tax thing has to go through, and I keep here hoping to hear stuff. And I just want to know when we will know more about whether the township is able to purchase the property and then what the intentions are after.
All right, so I'll provide what clarity I have, and if that's not clear enough, you're welcome to call the township and talk to Joe, but we have an agreement of sale with the Alouettes. In May 19th, I believe, is the Pennsylvania primary election.
Yeah.
There will be a referendum on the ballot to increase the earned income tax by 0.25%, with that money going towards basically our open space fund, which will provide for the purchase of the Alback property, but also provide for future maintenance needs for any of our open space. It's basically, again, a pool of money that we can use. But with the passage of that, that's a sufficient amount of funding to support whatever mortgage would need to be taken out for the property. Now, your next question may be, what
happens if it doesn't go?
We have other avenues to pursue, one of which we're gonna seek grant opportunities, not unlike what we talked about tonight with going to Montgomery County. While $500,000 isn't enough, it's certainly something. So there are other grant sources that we will pursue. That's one. And then we could raise real estate taxes without a referendum. The challenge with real estate tax raising is it can be a disbenefit to those on fixed incomes, namely the elderly. So we were preferring not to go that route, and we're going to go this route in the hopes that all of us see fit that open space does a lot of things, including raising all of our values of our own properties, right?
I appreciate that, because then I don't have to end up on this side worrying about what's being built there, so.
I've got to come to this side, so that's okay.
It's not so bad, but I don't want to be on that side where I'm worried about townhouses back there. So I'm grateful that the township wants to purchase that property, and I hope that a lot of people in Lower Southburn are going to agree to that.
I would suggest you go to the township website, and on the main page, you can click on all about property, more information.
I have read it,
Okay.
and I talked to Mike. I didn't know if there was gonna be any talk of like, if this goes through, what the intentions are. Is there gonna be a playground? Is there gonna be this? I'm worried about the bike trail that does cross through my neighbor's property and my property. Is that gonna connect to something? All of a sudden, there's all these stakes all over. We don't know why. Somebody came out, with stakes
That's probably
everywhere.
the surveyor for the
the
property. The
township
township is doing their due diligence
Sure.
before we purchase, so we have to make sure that
the property lines, where the property lines are, if there are any issues with.
Makes sense.
Property.
We want to
That's
know
all
what
part
we're
of that.
buying.
Right.
Yeah, and we just wanted to know if that meant there was already a plan. We wanted to
No,
hear what the plan
no, I
was.
think
So here we showed up.
Plan
tonight.
now is purchasing the property,
You wanna buy
and
it, I
then
got
there'll
you.
be other plans.
I agree. Please purchase it.
We're also gonna put a change jar at Wawa's, we're hoping we get a lot of.
Maybe you should put it at Popeyes, because that line has.
That
been
too,
long,
yeah.
And anybody that doesn't want another fast food restaurant on the other side. might get there.
So one last thing in parting, we would implore you to speak to your friends and neighbors, folks that you know in Lower Stafford Township. And if they do have questions about what our intentions are and how we're going about it, they're certainly welcome to come in, ask any of us. We're all versed in where we're at in the process. But to garner their support would be terrific.
The Mommies of Harleysville Facebook page
Let 'em
is
know.
on top of it.
Good.
Love it.
Excellent, great.
Yeah.
Take all the help we can get.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a quick comment
Yes,
about our Public Works Department and getting out and taking care of the streets. I know we thanked them the other morning, but I think it's important to know we had great help from our residents. Thank you to the residents that got out and helped by moving vehicles or doing whatever you might have done to help during the storm and the cleanup. It was a tough storm. And I appreciate all the efforts. So thank you to our friends and neighbors, and thank you to our staff that got out there doing it up.
It did not go
Did a
unnoticed.
great job.
Very good. Anyone else wishing to be recognized? The one once go in place. All right, with that, do we have need this evening for an executive session, Mr.?
You do not.
We do not. So with that, then I will flip it to Andy for a motion.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Thank you all for coming out. Good to see you.